Hey, Tony Guys here popping in. Hey, want to talk to the wives, from a husband. And reason being is I think I did a video on this, but I can't remember, so I need to do another video on it. But one of the things that I see and that I've been hearing a lot about from men is needing words of affirmation. And it feels I know it's not easy to do, especially if you were not raised in an affirming household. It's not something that's gonna just come so easy because you have to know what it feels like to be affirmed, to affirm somebody, typically, until you just make a choice. But it's so many men that are busting their butt to provide a living and to be faithful to their woman and to be faithful to God and to heal and to grow. And the world is not a comforting place for men because men are asked to put on this armor and this mask and to live in this shell. And from the age of 6 months old, I remember talking to a man who had a 2-year-old son, and he was talking about wanting to put the toughness in his son that his father put in him. And I said, brother, I'm going to share something with you that my wife shared with me. There's a time and a place for everything. You can help your son develop toughness, but you cannot do that at the age of 2. Like, you have to allow a baby to be a baby, a toddler to be a toddler. You cannot chastise and toughen a little boy the way you feel needed as a man, because that is a baby who has different needs and different feelings and cannot understand its feelings or its needs, his needs. And so he needs to be nurtured. He needs to be loved. He needs to be cared for. You don't have to spoil him or coddle him, but you need to love him. And that is a message that no parents get other than parents who are well read, parents who grew up reading. So they read books from behavioral scientists and child psychologists and child therapists, and they read from people who have studied the human existence and the human ways for decades on decades and have created these plans and curriculums and these theories, and they understand how humans develop. And so by doing this, they are able to share knowledge. And that was one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, is because we forget that our grandparents didn't read books on average. So that means our parents didn't read books on average. And that means that people made up stuff on how to raise a baby. And if a person was in trauma, if they were in Jim Crow, if they were in slavery, if they were in segregation, if they were in poverty, you can only imagine what happened to that baby and to that toddler and to that little boy and that little girl. And so one of the things that shifted is when my wife started to read books for our children so that we could raise our children in a more healthy and productive way. And also because she was 19 or she was 20 when she had our first child, so she knew nothing. But she's a researcher, she's a reader, because that's how she was raised. So she got that knowledge. And literally, when we looked around and every other parent that we knew, they were struggling with their kids' behavior and sleeping through the night. And the only thing different my wife did was read. And she read a book called What to Expect When Expecting. And it changed everything. And so what I see, differently with my sons, then what a lot of men don't have is being raised with healthy emotions. You're allowed to cry, you're allowed to feel, you're allowed to express. But yes, as you come to an age of accountability and understanding, you will be held accountable and you will be given an understanding for why we are doing what we're doing. And so, what most women don't know is that most men were not developed in a healthy way. Most men were not raised, they just grew. So, therefore, most men have holes in our heart and don't know how to love and don't know how to live and don't know how to feel and don't know how to express. And so men need to be spoken to in an affirming way at times to know that we are worthy, we are smart, we are capable, we are amazing, we are special. And the thing about it is like when a person has a belief, when a person can believe in themselves, when a man can believe in himself, he then, you gotta understand that just a little glow from the skincare my wife got me on, he then can start to go to the next level. He then can change his life. And I see this happen. And I talk to different men. And one thing that I always do, one thing I do, and this ain't nothing, this ain't, about no kind of funny business. But with every man, really every person, but I make sure I do it with men too. Like, I was talking to a man yesterday. He does security. I said, man, you look like the man from the movie London is Falling. I said, man, you ought to take some acting classes because you look just like that man in the movie. Like, you could be in a movie role, where you live at. You could be in a movie role because you can't let that security look go to waste. Just that affirmation, that man might go take an acting class and get in a small film that he see being casted for on Craigslist or one of the casting sites. Just that, another guy, I say that too. I just said to a guy today, I said, man, it's a block somewhere. I said, I don't know what the block is, but I said, you're a billionaire because the way that you move, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you're not afraid, you got something in you. And I say that to people. And one thing I have seen is like just the belief. Like I earn, my companies earn 7 figures, which means $1 million plus. But I work probably an hour a day now. Hour to, on average an hour a day. And then sometimes I may work, if I'm coaching, I could work 6 hours, but I don't work, 8 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours like you would think it would take. And I'm doing this as a minority with limited resources. And so I'll meet men who have a degree, who have resources, and we'll take in, I gotta forget on what's on the shirt. We'll be talking, they'll be like, well, what you do? I say, well, I do online courses, I do coaching, I write books, I do YouTube, I do ghostwriting, business consulting, motivational speaking. I do a lot of things. I just use my gifts. And I'm living my purpose and what have you. And they're like, man. And then I talk to them about my online courses and how that work. I talk to them about YouTube and how that work. When I tell you, I could think of several men that after having that conversation with me, the next time I talk to them, they say, Tony, I've quit my job and I'm going full time in my purpose, in my passions. And I'll talk to them later and they'll keep in touch and they making 6 figures. And all it took was a conversation with a stranger to see that it could be done. And what so many women don't understand is that your man is powerful beyond measure, but you're not celebrating him. You're not speaking life into him. You're looking at his gifts and you are taking them for granted. You're not digging deeper into him because you want him to be a provider. You want him to be a protector. You want him to be the head of the household. You want him to be all these things, but what you are failing to realize is that you are the catalyst to those things. The more peace you bring, the more power you bring, the more affirmation you speak, the more revelation he receives. And then he will go to the next level because someone believes in him, but not just someone he knows, he needs, and he loves, believes in him. And that belief is so much greater than anything. And here's the thing. Yes, you were not raised that way. Yes, you might not feel worthy yourself. Yes, he may not affirm you, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't affirm him. Because when you affirm him, guess what you just taught him? You just taught a cold man how to be warm. And now when he feels affirmation, now he's, this feel good. Let me return this. Let me return this. And what a lot of times, and sometimes women receive affirmation and it feels so good, they bask in it, they bathe in it, and they don't return it. But the man, when I talk to men, this is what I've come to understand, and this is what I know, I'm also a man, is that when a man is doing that, he's doing it because that's how he wants you to love him. He wants you to affirm him. He wants you to tell him you think he's sexy. He wants you to tell him you think he's a genius. You think he's smart. When he celebrates your wins, he wants you to celebrate his wins. He want to come home to a cake for the bonus or for the promotion he just got, for the win he just had in life. He want a cake. He want a card. He wants something that says to him, you see him, you support him, you're in his corner. And so understand as a woman that you are influential. You are a catalyst. And don't, you know, I do so much talking to men about how to treat a woman and to women about how they should be treated. But it's not enough talk from a healthy space, from a healthy male who is not angry, who is not bashing, who is not belittling women, but speaking from a healthy space as a healthy and faithful man to say, ladies, men need your affirmation. Men need you to believe in them. Men need for you to hold us accountable and encourage us and push us. Don't let us quit. Don't let us fold. Don't let us give up and give in. Like, don't be afraid to step out on that limb with that motivation that feels and sounds corny. Like, we need it immensely. We need it. We're longing for it. We want it. And I had to, tell my wife this and share this with my wife, and I had to point those things out. But most men won't do that. Most men won't articulate that, and instead they may end up going to get it from somewhere else. Because that woman on the side, that single woman at the job, she sees what you have, and she knows that you don't appreciate it, or you appreciate it, but you don't verbalize that. You don't express that. So she says, I'm going to speak to his brokenness, to his lack. I'm going to speak to where he isn't being spoken to. And before you know it, that man feels indebted to that woman who saw something in him and spoke life into him. And she could be a shiesty, shady, fake grimy, sneaky, snaky woman, and he doesn't even realize it just because he was that starved of affirmation. So, ladies, listen to me. Get this in your spirit and work on this thing. I'm telling you. And then you will see the reciprocation. You will see it come back. You'll see your situation change. You'll see this man treat you better, talk to you more, open up to you more, do more for you, love you more. And if you don't see that, then that is your sign. That's what lets you know you married wrong. And it's time to consult God about what you need to do. Hey, this is Tony Gasson. God bless you. We'll talk soon.